Thank you so much for joining us during the live chat. As always, I'd love to know where you're joining us from. So let us know in the comment section where in the world you are. It's always so fun to see where people are building their businesses because you really can do it globally. So yeah, super exciting. Let us know where you're from. For anyone who's brand new to the show and hasn't joined a past episode of Real Talk, I'll just give a quick little intro. Real Talk is a show where we go over anything on ways to market your business, ways to optimize your business. So there's a wide variety of topics. It's always changing each week. And yeah, so, join in, maybe even watch some of our past episodes. You can always get some great value from those because it's ever changing. So that's a little bit about our show and what we're going to be chatting about. Before we hop into the outline of today and what we're going to be focusing on for the topic of discussion, Farah, why don't you tell everyone a little bit about you and your journey maybe with drop shipping or your knowledge or whatever you want to let our audience know about.
Yeah, so I've been with Shopify for just under 2 years, and I've helped a lot of stores from marketing to the technical stuff. And I run my own artist Instagram account, and I have my own drop shipping store.
Awesome. Yeah, that's so fun. I think especially working here, there's so many times that I feel like 2 years at Shopify is like 10 years at any other company. So yeah, we have a lot of different experience for sure. And a little bit about me, for, the past 5 years, I've been with Shopify and Oberlo. So I definitely have a lot of experience, and everyone's heard this spiel if you're watching from a previous show. But I've seen a lot of different kinds of stores, how they've been successful, different techniques and tricks that they've tried to, market or whatever it might be. So yeah, I think we have a lot of great insight to share. And just as a quick outline for today, I'm actually really excited about the show. It is my last show for a year while I'm gone on maternity leave, but it's a really exciting topic. We're going to be chatting about 9 ways to bring the element of human connection to your business, to your e-commerce business. So I feel like, you are connecting with customers virtually when you're starting a drop shipping business. So it is so important to try and bring that human connection to your brand in any way possible. So yeah, I'm really excited. I think it'll be super fun to chat about some unique and interesting ways you can do that. I am going to mention too, like always, we're going to close off the show with a hot tip toolbox. So that's, whether it's marketing or success stories, podcasts, apps. So stick around to the end. We'll share some fun resources and tips. Just as a reminder, as always, ask questions in the chat. Let us know if anything comes up or you have any ideas or you want to share as well your experience with different things. Let us know in the chat for sure. And just as a reminder, it's recorded. So you can always go back, rewatch it. Don't stress about taking notes. But Farah, I will let you hop right into just explaining the topic of today if you want to get started with that.
Yeah. In the virtual world of e-commerce, where we are all living online and globally more than ever, it's so important to establish a relationship with your customers or your potential customers, not only to stand out amongst your competition, but also for the fact that you're creating a community to get repeat customers and build trust with your customer base. And aside from that, it will make dropshipping and running your business way more fun and creative. So with that in mind, let's hop into some tips on ways you can build that connection with your customers, even while dropshipping. I'll give it to Carissa for tip number 1.
Awesome. So it's kind of starting with the very basic one, a no-brainer one. But tip number 1 is just to have a social media presence. So, it's like I said, it's a no-brainer, but it's so important to try and build a community around your brand. Having some kind of social media is a great way to do that. I would suggest don't be on every single platform. There's so many ones out there, whether it's Instagram, Pinterest, Facebook, TikTok, like you name it. There's so many different avenues for connecting with customers. But I just wanted to mention that choose, 1, maybe 2, 3 if you feel comfortable with it, but usually 2 is a great one to just, build out that presence, because you don't want to half do a social media account that looks like there's some engagement, but not really. So do 1 or 2 really, really well. And you can use that to engage with your audience. You know, along with that, having that social media presence actually does help to legitimize your business. Just having a presence can help establish trust with your customers. I know personally, anytime I buy from a store, I mean, I'm a huge fan of Instagram. I love Instagram so much. So for me, I always, always, always go, if I'm looking at a store and I'm interested in buying a product, I always go on to their Instagram account and just check it out. I look for maybe tagged pictures to see what customers are posting about. I see what kind of things they're posting about, how they're engaging with their audience. And that just helps me establish a sense of trust before I go ahead and purchase from a store. And I probably do that with just about any store I purchase from. So yeah, it's really great to have some kind of a social media presence just in general. Like I said, check their tagged photos, check their follower accounts. That's the kind of things that people look for. So build out a really nice social media. And it's so nice to see everyone in the chat. I'm just seeing lots of people coming back from past episodes. So hi, everyone. It's so nice to have you here. Okay, I will let you hop into tip number 2.
Yeah, so tip number 2 is your Instagram Live. Speaking of social media, doing live videos is a great way to connect with your followers and potential customers. And you can showcase a product, how it works, when to use it, or you can even do like a Q&A, getting to know you and your brand or anything in between. Plus, it's something you can market and post about on any other social channels or send an email about to your customer base, letting them know you'll be live on a certain date. If you don't have any audience, go to your social profiles and tell your friends by clicking the share live icon. Tell them to come join you and tell them to share it, and it will help increase the views on your live. Engaging more with your audience will also help boost the power to your social profile. So when you actually post something, it will have more interactions because you've engaged with your audience during your live. And just having that live element adds another level to that human connection that an edited or a recorded video doesn't. So it's totally unedited, unfiltered, and allows you to connect real time with your audience like we are right now. An interesting technique you can go about it is like having your own home shopping network, like a live sale. For example, whatever product that you're showcasing, you say, I have 10 of these left. Let me know if you're interested. Leave a message in the comments. I'll send you a DM. So make sure you just like offer something in your live, a product, a promo, or anything, and try to go live 1 to 3 times a week just to make sure it's, you know, something amazing, like an amazing content that you can showcase. And if you don't have content, try once a week. It all depends on the quality of information that you're putting out, and just test the times that you go live as well and see which is the best time the majority of your audience will be on your live, and then just roll with that. A great example account is Sarita Crystals. If you just go to instagram.com/Sarita Crystals. I love how she does a lot of live sales and engages with the audience. And she just promotes in a post to let them know about the live sale ahead of time. And she gets a lot of interaction. And I personally enjoy watching these, even though sometimes I'm like, you know, should I buy this or shouldn't I not buy this? But it's like an auction. And I feel like it's so interactive. It just makes me more connected to her, even though I don't really know her. So I think that's one way to go about if you want to take a look at an example account, because she does post it on her IGTV as well. So
awesome. Yeah, I think that's so cool. When you brought up that example, when we were going through and building out the show notes, I love that example because one, she has this product, which, like you said, she sells all different kinds of crystals. So a lot of people are maybe just interested in like, oh, what are the properties of this crystal? And you know what I mean? Like, what can this be used for? So the live showcases 2 different things. One, it probably explains about the crystal and, you know, what it's used for and all these great things. And then you're also selling it at the same time. So you're really engaging with the audience. You're not just making a post about it that people will read later. They feel like they can ask you questions as well too, probably. I need to check out a few more of hers, but yeah, just bringing in that element of like, even doing this live show right now, like I hope that you all feel excited to be here and know that you can ask questions in the chat, and just, it adds a little bit more than a post that you later can comment on and hope you get a reply. That live element just adds so much. So that actually inspired our whole show. Farah, when you had mentioned that as your hot tip in the previous one, I was like, oh, this would be such a great show. So yeah, doing a live, a lot of fun, a great way to engage your audience. And like you said, you can save it to your IGTVs later for people to rewatch. And then if they loved watching your IGTVs, maybe they'll come back and join your lives. So definitely make sure to save those if you have some really good ones, because that can kind of spark the idea to go ahead and join your lives when you do have them. So yeah, I love that. And I will go into tip number 3, kind of along the same lines, but it's blog posts, podcast interviews, things like that. So yeah, another great way to connect with your audience or your potential audience is just finding alternative ways to offer advice, share content that might be related to your niche. Like I said, one example of that is starting a blog. So if it's something you genuinely enjoy doing, like you really do like writing, I wouldn't recommend, doing something that you're like, seems like a pain to do every single week. If there's one avenue out of this that you feel would be exciting to do, then go ahead and do it. But a blog is one example, like I said. The great thing about a blog is you can really talk about anything. You can talk about like current news or events happening around the topic of whatever your store or niche is. You can definitely do product showcases as well. You essentially just want to offer some kind of fun content that your audience might engage with. So another example actually too is doing a blog post about another person who is, in that industry or a big part of the industry. So just as an example, in the little slides there, you'll see there's a girl that I follow who takes really, really beautiful photos on Instagram. I always love checking out like the different ideas that she's come up with for taking photos and just trying to learn a little bit more about her process. I just had Googled her to see if she maybe had shared tips or suggestions or talking about, camera gear she uses or anything like that. And in that process, I stumbled across a couple blog posts actually from stores, like clothing stores, that she would take photos for and things like that. So I actually was brought to all these really great clothing stores just by Googling this person that I'm like inspired by. So that's why one of the great things about blog posts is, you can reach a new audience in a sense. And, tap into their customer base because maybe they're looking up information about them, which then leads them back to you. So yeah, I just loved that example. It doesn't just have to be a blog post though. If maybe starting a podcast is something you're interested in, then start a podcast and interview a bunch of people, talk about a topic or whatever it might be. Just find a unique way that connects with you that you think you would have a lot of fun with, because that's going to resonate with your audience. So, in general, talking to people like maybe bigger people in the industry, people love being interviewed. They love talking about themselves, not in a bad way. Just, you love sharing your story or sharing information. So instead of asking somebody like, hey, do you want to be like an influencer for me? Or do you want to advertise a product for me? I'll pay you, blah, blah, blah. Maybe a unique kind of sneaky in a good way around that is just connecting with, with them by doing some kind of an interview, because they might not charge you to do some kind of an interview. It'll just be something you're connecting with and sharing. Plus, the great thing about that, SEO, like having blog posts is awesome for your site SEO. And yeah, a lot of times those influencers, whoever it is you're interviewing, might actually post about their upcoming interview or share on their social channels. Like, hey, I just had an interview here if you want to check it out. Again, bringing your audience in. Oh my gosh, we're only on tip 3 and it's already 11:14 so far. I'm sorry, I'll let you go on to tip number 4.
Okay. Okay, so tip number 4, Let me just make sure I have that up here. Right. So adding human connection to your product listings and advertisements, along with connecting to customers through social media, blog posts, and interviews, it's important to bring that element into every aspect of your store, which includes your product descriptions and your advertisements. Instead of just describing the specs of the products in your description, you might want to add a description that describes how your product is solving a problem for them. And you'll want to really dive into the emotional reason your product would help their day-to-day life. And you can also bring this element into your advertising and your marketing photos and videos. And we have a store example where they have great product descriptions, and further down on the page, they even have an influence section on what influenced the creation of the product. JanaJewelry.com, I think that was, I find that when Carissa was sharing that, that's really great how they listed everything that influenced the making of the jewelry and, you know, all the properties and all that sort of stuff. So it's great to see that. I find that when I first saw it, my first instant reaction was like, wow, this is like a great product. And I get to see, you know, how it's made or why it was made. And I love that about the store. And it's making me interested in trying to buy, you know, one of their products as well. So I think that's great for you to add that to your store.
Yeah, I think that's so important. Like you said, just add it in any way you can in your descriptions, advertisements. Don't forget those little pieces of creating that human connection. Yeah, I love that store. Their stuff is pretty pricey, but also you can tell they take the time to really, like you said, talk about their products, do that influence section of what inspired them to create the piece. And that just helps you feel more connected as the customer to the product. So that was tip number 4. Tip 5, again, another basic one, but an About Us page is a great way to connect with your customers and share a little bit about you as your business. So I would say don't necessarily share, not that you can't. I'm going to give an example actually where you can, but don't share too much about just you, like as a person, unless your story is relevant and connects to your mission and your brand and how your store was created, and, you know, like I said, the mission of your company just in general. So you want to essentially have that About Us page, which makes the customer feel like they're almost in your story as well too. Like they could have been a part of that because they feel connected to, like, oh yeah, that's happened to me before. Oh yeah, that's exactly why I came here to this shop. So just as a quick example, of a great About Us story is actually from this website here that sells honey products, but it's like specifically more like medicinal. I think it's honey propolis, if I'm saying that properly. But essentially, and actually this is an example where she did bring her story in, but it was, it all started from this girl who had an autoimmune disease, and she couldn't take a lot of these different remedies to help with her issues she was having. I think it was throat issues. With like not mono, but something like that, like where she constantly just had these issues and she couldn't take any medication for it because she had the autoimmune disease. So she actually took her whole knowledge of, I think she either did biology or some kind of a science program, so she knew that side of things, and had stumbled across in her later years how this product was like an amazing product that actually worked for her, but it wasn't available in the market. So for her, she used her story, what she went through, how these products actually helped her, and why she created it then for the whole entire market. Then you also notice as well too in the About Us page, it's really mission focused on like what their brand is trying to bring to the world, I guess. So I just thought that was so great because I actually listened to a podcast episode, speaking of which, of her. And that's what brought me to the site because I heard her story and I connected more with it. And that's actually what's going to make me then go ahead and buy products. I'm like, wow, that's such a cool, unique story. I love that. And instead of just like stumbling across this website, I probably would just close out of it. But I feel way more connected hearing about her story, their mission as a company. So have a really good About Us page. And like I said, don't just talk about you in the sense of like, oh, I started this drop shipping store so I could have more time with my family or something like that. Like it is great, like absolutely, but make sure you're almost saying a story in a way where your customers feel like it's a reason why they want to shop from you, and how they feel connected to your community and your brand, if that makes sense. So that's tip number 5 for me. And Farah, I'll let you hop into tip number 6.
Yeah. I just wanted to share a quick tip too. If you're ever doing any live videos and you're, right after you're done that, you can actually export that audio and make it into a podcast. So that's a super helpful tip for you. And you can use that content for any of your, your podcast, or if you want to put that into a blog or anything like that. But we'll move on to tip number 6 for so the element of adding a human connection can be done in many ways. And another way to make customers feel as though you're there for them is offering live support. And knowing customers can contact you with any questions is such an important part of establishing trust. Messages do have a higher open rate compared to emails due to the interactive and spontaneous responses. And it does create a seamless connection between your business and your customers. You can also use an app like Messenger app, which connects to your Facebook Messenger in order to see customer questions right away. And you can set your hours when you're available for chats so that customers feel that they can connect with you live when they need. And I totally love that part of a store when they do have that live support, because it makes me feel, I can get help anytime that I need, even though sometimes it might be a bot, but at least that option is there and I can know when to come back if I need some live support.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I think all of these things really add up to the point where if you get a customer to your store, you want them to instantly just feel connected, feel supported, so that they do go ahead and purchase, because honestly, customers can leave so quick in that split second. So you really are, all of these tips, implementing them is what's going to get you sales. This is what's going to get those repeat customers coming back and going to, like we said, establish that sense of trust, which is so important. So I know they might seem like tips that are just like, oh, fun and whatever, but you really do have sometimes just those like 5 seconds to make that connection and make your customers feel like a part of your store and your brand. And that's what's going to lead to those sales. That's what's going to lead to long-term growth and sustainability of your business. So they are really important to think about in terms of, growing your business in general. So live support, I love that. Tip number 7 is get personal with your replies. So, this is typically done with businesses that do ship out their items themselves. So usually if you have control over the packaging and the shipping of the products, you have that control of adding, for example, a little custom note saying, hey, thank you so much for placing the order. A lot of businesses right now are doing that, adding that little personal message into their orders and shipping it out. But you actually can kind of get creative with this and find ways to do this even with drop shipping. So for example, maybe you can send a follow-up email or an SMS message, which will be a little bit about our next tip. You're essentially just letting the customer know that you appreciate them and that it's like a custom note, but just done virtually. So I just wanted to share one example because I think this will kind of help wrap your head around it maybe a bit more. But there's a store my partner and I shop from a lot, located here in Canada. I think they're called Lost and Found, and they always leave a handwritten note mentioning, one, the past product we bought, like, hey, we hope you're loving X, Y, and Z product. It's such a great, staple piece for whatever it might be. We think you'll really love this new one as well, too. And so adding that little bit of that human connection of not just like, hey, we hope you love this piece you ordered. They actually took the time to look at those past orders, know what we purchased, and mention that as well in the note, too, of like, what we had ordered from them in the past. And that just in a sense was like, wow, that's so nice and so thoughtful that they remembered our past order, even though for them they probably just looked at the customer profile to see what was placed. But adding in just that little bit of extra personalization, and you can even, like I said, do this in a follow-up email or an SMS message, can really help establish that little extra bit of a human connection rather than just like, hey, we hope you like this product. It's, hey, thank you so much for your past purchase. Such a great, great item you chose. And so it does take a little bit of time. You don't have to do this on every single order. It's really going to depend on you. But if you have that little bit of extra time to do that and you kind of recognize maybe one of the names or whatever it might be, it definitely might be worth it, because that's what actually keeps us from always going back to that store to see if they have new items and purchasing from them, because we really love that element that they brought to it, and we feel more connected to their brand, and we want to purchase from them whenever possible. So that was just a kind of a fun little tip. It's just get personal with your replies if you can, and if you have the time, that can be a fun way to connect. So I'll let you hop on to tip number 8, Farah.
Yeah, tip number 8 are SMS messages. Many of us have our smartphones with us all the time. Utilizing SMS messages is a great way to connect with your customers on a more personal level. Emails can easily get missed, while a text message likely won't. And you can send SMS messages to customers about special deals you're having or events, send them updates on upcoming blogs or Instagram lives that you might be doing. It's also a great way to update customers on their orders by sending them their tracking codes. And of course, with SMS messages, you don't want to overdo it and bombard them with too many messages. But if you do it right, it can be a great tool for making customers feel connected to your brand and up to date on what's going on. And you can also use an app like SMS Bump for this. You can find that on the Shopify App Store. Just look for SMS Bump.
Awesome. And I think that's a fun, I don't know if you just mentioned that right now, but I think that's a fun way to even chat about your lives. Like you said, if you have an upcoming live, maybe talking about a certain product, like you said, don't bombard them with it. But like that crystal shop example, you could send, if customers sent you your phone number and wanted to be signed up for and being notified via text, you could always say like, hey, upcoming live on this day with my crystal sale or whatever. So yeah, get fun and creative with it. And text message can be a fun way to do that. So very last tip for today is contests and giveaways. So this is a fun one. I'm sure a lot of you have probably seen that like typical product giveaway on Instagram where there's some kind of a post. They're probably saying like, share, post this to your story, tag someone in the comments, and we'll do the giveaway on this day, which is great. Really great option to do, and it works really well. It's really effective. It's a great way to bring in new audience as well too, especially if you're getting someone to be tagged. That person's probably going to look at the shop, and again, you're pulling in that new audience base to get more sales. But you can also find, maybe a bit more of a unique way to engage your audience and get your community together to be in part of this contest or giveaway. So one example I wanted to share, because I always find it's easier to picture things with examples, is a company, again, that I really love that does, they sell camera gear, but every single month they do some kind of a photo challenge contest. Because again, camera gear, photo contest, it goes really well hand in hand for their general niche. But they essentially partner up with brands or whatever it might be, and they have a photo challenge on, picking a winner for whatever contest it might be. They do it once a month, but it gets people to post photos, gets them involved, makes them feel more of a part of the community because they're actually taking the time to think about the brand and what they want to post. So you can share that content on your social media as well too. Just in general, it's a really great way to try and connect. So think of fun ways to do contests that might work for you and your brand, and get creative with it. So that was my last one. And we'll just wrap up the show like always with a hot tip and talk section. I'll hop into my my hot tip, which is I just wanted to mention as well too the importance of establishing your brand and the type of community you're building around it. So really first think of your mission, think of your brand, think of what it is your business is selling, and establish that mission first. Maybe even write out a story or two about your customers, who they are, their customer profile, and that can be a really fun way to think about how you want to brand. And then you can go into all of these different ways of connecting live because you've figured out what your brand and your mission is. So yeah, just something to think about first. That's my hot tip. And Farah, what's your hot tip?
Cool. Yeah. My hot tip is being interactive as much as you can in your posts, your blogs, your emails. Connect with your people, and sending genuine reactions will be great to build rapport. People love it when you mention them, react to their comments, and give attention to what they're saying, even if it's something short and sweet. So that's my hot tip for the day.
Awesome. I love it. Toolbox, again, some kind of an app or resource. Just wanted to share a quick app called Feed Preview that I use. And all it does is allow you to post free or post maybe like an Instagram picture and upload it ahead of time on the app so you can see how it looks on your social media. So for example, maybe you have a couple posts you want to share. You want to see how it looks in general on your feed. Usually I'll post a couple photos and rearrange the order and figure out how I want to post it. So it's more just like a fun kind of visual app. They might even have a paid plan that allows you to have like certain upload dates and things like that. I just mostly use it to get a preview of how my feed would look. So kind of a random one, but just a fun one I wanted to share that I use a lot. And like I said, it's free. So definitely check that out. And what's your toolbox tip, Farah?
Yeah, I love that too. My toolbox tip is the Instagram Reel. It's a free tool you can use to engage your audience on a deeper level by creating content that resonates with your target audience, lifestyle, and interests. A key inspiration is finding viral TikTok videos, take their audio, and then put your own spin on it within your own niche. If that audio is already on TikTok, most likely it will work well on Instagram. Obviously, good content is good content. So that's my toolbox tip for the day.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm actually really surprised. It's 11:31 my time. We didn't go way over. I thought for sure we would with all of our tips and suggestions. So yeah, I mean, thank you everyone so much for joining us. I hope you got some fun ideas that you could use to explore how to create that human connection. Like we've been saying, it's just so important in this virtual world where you don't have a retail shop to establish that sense of connection and brand with your customers. Doing all of these things, though they may not seem like they're leading to sales directly, they really are. You're bringing in that audience. You're making them feel connected to your company and to your brand. By keeping them engaged and keeping them feeling like a part of that, they are going to then come back and make purchases. And speaking from somebody who, again, all of these tips that we're sharing is actually how I am as a customer. Like I said, I am putting through orders with repeat, like stores that I purchased in the past just because I felt that connection with them. So definitely don't leave this behind. You don't want to just get a sale and then your customers never come back again. You want to have those repeat customers. That's a lot cheaper than in terms of marketing as well too, just in the sense of customer acquisition can be really expensive. So why spend so much on customer acquisition when you can actually get customers coming back because you've already acquired them and they feel connected and they're going to keep checking your store. So just as a reminder, it is super important to your business. And I hope you all enjoyed the episode today. Hopefully you learned something. Let us know in the chats if there's anything else you want to hear about in the future episodes. And we will see you next Monday. I won't be here, like I said. I'm going on maternity leave, but yeah, you will definitely see Farah and Mel and Lexi and probably some other special guests along the way. So have a great rest of your week, and we will see you on Monday. Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys.